All right, before we get into today's episode, talking about Cab Franc Masters, Sunday, March 16th, Monday, March 17th with Neeta Mitral and Damian Grimley. Want to tell you about our sponsor for today's show. It's Tin City Distillery. Have you ever wanted to own your own barrel of spirits, of whiskey? Well, now you can with their private barrel club at Tin City Distillery. Get to tincitydistillery.com. We got links in the show notes. This club lets you craft your own whiskey, age it how you like, even bottle it, custom label. You got a custom barrel head that everyone can see there. The pour we got our own. Check it out. tincitydistillery.com. Link in the show notes, and let them know you heard them here on The Pour.
Here, we taste it, we spill it, we leave it all on the table. It's The Pour with Adam Montiel.
Cheers.
Cheers, Adam.
This is so good. Talking Cab Franc.
Hello.
I love that we dipped into this on Up and Adam on The Daily Show. I appreciate you guys being here to really dive deep. We're talking Cab Franc Masters. It's a 2-day event designed to establish Paso as a benchmark region for Cab Franc, which everyone in this room believes it is. The event unites winemakers, industry leaders, wine enthusiasts, weekend warriors in a celebration of this really dynamic varietal, showcasing terroir-driven complexity, evolving identity. It's going on, and it's going on in Paso. So, of course, with Neeta Mitral, who I absolutely love. It's so great to see you.
It's always wonderful to see you, Adam.
Damian Grimley, I love you a little bit less than Neeta, but I still love you nonetheless.
No one's called me a master since I was at boarding school as a child. It was Master Damian Grimley.
Right.
So, Damian, a lot of that has to do with my accent, I promise.
I got an accent too, you know.
That's true. We got some great accents in this episode. Cab Franc Masters, it's a 2-day thing, Neeta. Sunday, March 18th, Sunday, March 16th, Monday, March 17th, Cass Winery, Robert Hall, respectively. There's a lot going on, and really, it's for anyone.
Absolutely. Cab Franc is one of those varietals that is going through a phase of discovery in Paso and actually in the world as well. If you think about now is the time when the new world is sort of leaning into old world philosophy, and the old world is leaning into new world, probably because of climate change, if I'm allowed to use that word. And so there is this interesting transition time for our wines in the world, and that's the best thing about Cabernet Franc. It has a sort of a soul for both. And in Paso, it is still, we all are discovering Cab Franc. So to have everyone come with us on this journey as we taste, I bet you if we are doing this festival 10 years later, which I promise you we will be talking a very different language about Cabernet Franc. We will be seeing different expressions of Cabernet Franc. So this is an evolution. This is a discovery. So the reason why this Cab Franc Masters event is exciting because we are discovering as we are going as well. So even if you think about the first 2 editions that we did about Cab Franc Masters, this third one is so different, so deep, because we are understanding the language better as well.
You know, Damian, Paso is stepping up as a serious player in Cab Franc. This event is really proving that. What is it about Paso's terroir that really makes it a game changer for this grape, this area?
Oh, I think it's the variability. We've got all these little microclimates, so we can get lots of different expressions of Cabernet Franc. You can get something like ours, which is a little older. It's in a cooler spot. We pick it in second week in November. You get into sort of really some riper characters. You've got some draftier spots, and then some hotter spots you pick earlier, and they all make different expressions. And, you know, Neeta was saying that, there's this great interest in Cabernet Franc. I think there has been for a while, but you haven't been able to see it because, you know, the whole fine food, dining movement started, and you can't just turn the tap on with Cab Franc. You've got to plant it. You've got to wait for it to 5 years to start producing a decent crop. You've got to have it a couple of years in barrel. So even though that fine dining food movement maybe started a decade ago, it's only now we've got a critical mass of Cab Francs and we can go, hey, these are great food wines to line up with those whole things. And as Neeta said previously, we're doing a food pairing. in this one of the seminars. It's the first time they've done that, and it's probably the first time they've really been able to do that, because we now have a wide breadth of Cab Francs that compare well and really showcase how well it does with food and all those sort of things.
Such a big food one. I know you were saying that before. And we are doing a lot of new stuff this year. Let's talk about how these days are broken down, who they're for, and how we can be a part of it, Neeta.
So it's for everyone, both the days. Day one is for the everyone who wants to experience Cabernet Franc in a very relaxed way. So we will start with international tasting. So I actually poured you two of these, Adam.
Oh, perfect.
This is from Chinon. This is from Argentina. It's perfect because we're talking about exactly that seminar. So we are going to taste Cabernet Francs from 5 different regions in the world, led by no other than Wes Hagen, and followed by a food and wine pairing seminar. And Chef Charlie from Cass is going to create 5 different beautiful expressions of Cabernet Franc. And there is a twist to it. So you will experience it when you come. And Jason Santos of Justin Winery is going to lead the conversation on the pairings. He is a level 2 sommelier. And then we go into grand tasting, where 25 of our dear wineries are going to pour Cabernet Francs for you. I would say most of us are pouring wines that either we are sold out of or are in library. So that is really special. And so that's day one. Day two, which we had decided to do it only for industry, but we've received so much interest that now we've opened it for all of you. And day two is going to be a deep dive. It's going to be a round table with 5 Cabernet Franc producers. And for this, we've invited 2 Cab Franc producers from outside. So we have John Scupney of Lang & Reed, Steve Matthiessen. And then within our community, we are going to, of course, have Damian of Brecon on the panel, along with Adelaida, Jeremy Weintraub, phenomenal winemaker as well.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm, of course, forgetting the 5th person, as always, but intense, very intelligent quorum, followed by there will be a discourse on sustainability, what that means, because viticulture is so important in a bigger and broader context as well. And this will be, it's poetically perfect that it's happening at Robert Hall, giving all the initiatives that they are doing in sustainability. And of course, Kane Thompson helped me put this all together. This is going to be led by Matt Ketman. The first will be led by Brianne Cohen. And then the last will be a marketplace seminar, where we will all excitedly discuss where is Paso Cabernet Franc in the marketplace. So this is actually going to be very interactive. On that panel, we are going to have sommeliers, restaurant owners, people who actually buy and sell that stuff from us. So it's going to be, that discussion is going to be very interactive. And that the idea with that discussion is actually get equally back from the audience as well.
Yeah, so Monday sounds like it's very much think tank-like.
Yes.
And it's very collaborative.
And both days, lots of food. I promise you that.
I love it. And on the first day, like you said, starting at 10 a.m., 10 to 11:30, the World of Franc, 11:45 to 12:45, the versatile Franc, exploring Cab Franc's culinary range. That's that food pairing.
Yes.
And then 1 to 4, you got a 3-hour really immersion where you're going to be tasting. You'll have curated pairings. Chef Charlie Cass is a great event space for this because you're involving the food. And then, of course, like you mentioned, Wes Hagen, none better in putting things in a way that you can be engaged and understand. But then, especially if you are in the industry, I would say Monday is almost mandatory. Like, you got to check it out. You got to send a representative from your brand if you are doing anything in the Bordeaux, whether you're blending it or whether you're exploring making it. But this is something that I think everyone needs to be a part of.
And it's only $65 for industry on day 2.
Right?
$65, 3 seminars with lunch and a coffee break, lots of discussions, and very open forums. They're going to be open and very transparent forums. Even the way we are structuring the roundtables and the conversations, it's not going to be a strict panel. It's going to be permeative. So you give us and we give you, and it's going to be fun. Can I just add one exciting thing? If you've heard of the initiative that Karen McNeil up north is doing. She did the Come Over October, and now she's doing Share and Pair Sundays. And the whole idea is to get the community, the wine community, not only just the makers, but also the consumers excited about wine back again. And she's doing this initiative called Share and Pair Sundays. How poetic that our food and wine seminar falls on a Sunday. Their initiative kicks off on March 23rd. So we will be sharing the Share and Pair Sundays campaign with everybody. So to be able to bring that into the fold means a lot to us.
You know, Damian, whether the Rhone explosion and some of the cult winemakers that have made Rhones big, or you look at some of the other big brands that have pushed, looking at Eberle's been pushing Cab forever, Dow has taken big strides with Paso and Cab. Everyone's got their angle as to what is best in Paso. But isn't it so emblematic of that Paso can grow so many things well when we can do an Albarino Summit? We can do a Cab Franc Masters event. I mean, it really shows that Paso is easily growing 60, 70 things to world-class levels.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I'm here, because you've got those blending opportunities to make some wonderful blends with varieties that you'd have to truck them in from hundreds of miles away anywhere else. Here, you know, it's a couple of fields over. You've got Cab Franc and Albarino over there and all sorts of other things over here. So that's kind of cool. And Cass, if you've not been to Cass, for all those people listening, it's a wonderful facility since they've redone it. It's actually second to none in Paso, I think. And actually, they're part of the Cab Franc story. Early on, they had one of the original plantings of Cab Franc, I think not as old as ours. It's since been ripped out. Maybe they planted some more, I'm not quite sure. But it's perfectly appropriate for them to be doing this, because they were, when I first came to Paso, which is more years than I care to remember right now, one of the first wines I tasted was the Cass Cab Franc. And oh, that's kind of good too.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you use more as a blending grape and kind of like a supporting role. What is it about a Cab Franc? What does it need to have if it's going to stand out singly in a bottle?
That's a very, very good question. And again, that's the beautiful thing about Paso. A lot of the things that are considered blenders elsewhere, especially in Bordeaux, like Petit Verdot, Malbec, Cab Franc, we can find the perfect spot in Paso with these different hillsides and these different coastal influences and the different soil types and all sorts of things. And so we're working that out very rapidly. I think Cab Franc's getting dialed in there. The Bordeaux's, as a Malbec, we've got some wonderful Malbec spots now. To make, but there's no right and wrong answers. There are a bunch of different expressions that make it interesting. So what I'm trying to say is, in Paso, you plant it in this spot, you know it's going to be good. You're just not quite sure what expression it's going to be.
Cab Franc, in a way, it kind of reminds me, and this is just me, in like Chardonnay, where it can be very versatile. Like there's so many different kind of ways you could see it tasting and done, whether it's the place. And so when you talk about pairing it with food, are there just aspects that just pair well, perfectly, like Pinot and Thanksgiving? Or what are the go-to pairings, and maybe even a pairing that you've discovered, both of you guys, that isn't quite so typical, but really works when you paired it with Cab Franc?
Right, well, I say, let's talk about what we mean by pairing with food. So, you put a big Cabernet or a big Syrah or something, it can dominate the food. It's a wine that you want to kind of drink on its own in front of the fireside on a winter's night, and or outside on a beautiful day, but you almost don't need anything else. It can be a meal in itself. But with Cab Franc, it doesn't dominate the food. It's there to complement it, to bring out aspects of the food, and vice versa. The food brings out things in the wine. So it's a complete meal. It's not disjointed because one thing's dominated. It's across the board. Everything pairs well with everything perfectly. And that's what the beauty of a Cab Franc. It never really dominates the food. It complements it. It's a picture frame around a picture. It's this lovely framework of oak rather than a heavy hit of oak that just in a barrel that just completely dominates it.
Is there a pairing that you really think of that either with your Cab Franc or one that you really love that just it's a home run?
Kunal surprised me with one day I was working at the tasting room, come back, it's a Valentine's Day, and he did a lobster with Cabernet Franc. And the bridge was these herbs that we pair at LXV with the Cab Franc. That's the beauty of Cab Franc. It paired with the lobster. We were at a restaurant down in San Diego, one of the restaurants that carries our wine. The G2 North wine that you just had, you saw it. It is pearly. It's powerful. We paired it with hamachi there. And it was mind-blowing because there was so much savoriness with the miso that created the bridge. It's easier to create bridges, flavor bridges, with Cabernet Franc. People think people think wine pairs with a protein. It's a misnomer. Wine actually pairs with any protein given the bridges of flavors that you create with that protein.
Hashtag flavor bridges.
I love that. I'm stealing it.
So
and
good.
Cab Franc is the most versatile to create these flavor bridges.
Well, you can't steal it. You thought of it. This is yours. It's so good. No, I love that. These things that bridge flavors and, things together. Let's talk about cabfrancmasters.com. That's the website where you want to check it out. We always talk about green notes, and it's kind of typical pyrazines. These are conversations that seemingly come up a lot, Damian, when we're talking about Cab Franc. Where do these green notes come from? Some people like them. I know they're inherent. Do we want a lot of them? Do you try and abate some of them? And then kind of going back, where does it come from? Is it picking decisions? Is it canopy decisions? Is it in the cellar? Where do these green notes of Cab Franc we hear about, where do they come from?
Well, I think make it clear there are good green notes and there aren't necessarily good green notes. And for example, having a broad bean character in a Pinot Noir is not great. Right. But generally, the green characters that you get in Cab Franc are considered good because they're part of the varietal, the makeup. Yes, certainly those decisions, it comes from the varietal, let's face it. But you can manipulate it a little bit in the field with canopy management, your row orientation, your site. You can manipulate it a little bit with what you do in the winery. You can use heavier oak charred barrels that kind of mask that if that's the style that you're looking for. So we prefer at Brecon to let the fruit speak for itself. We generally get past a lot of those green characters. And we try not to dominate it with oak and other things. But, like any varietal, you can steer it in a number of directions. And depending on what sort of stylistically you want to do, there's no right or wrong answer again. And that's the beauty of Cab Franc. You can like a number of varieties, you can play with it and produce something really quite good.
Neeta, I know your love is Sangiovese, and your husband, Kunal, his love is Cab Franc. Mm-hmm. So you are here making the case for Cab Franc out of just a strict love for Kunal.
He's very radio shy.
What is it that you appreciate about this wine? What is it something that you've even learned to love more in just, making it, growing it, tasting it all over the world when you're with Kunal? What is it about this wine that you've grown to love?
So many different answers, but the beginning of my love for wine and Kunal's love for wine started with our love for Bordeaux and Saint-Emilion. So I think there's something very inherent with that love story there. But I'm a food and wine girl. I love food and wine pairings. Food is very important to me when it comes to in context of wine. And Cab Franc is so versatile. The language that different Cab Francs speak, they speak such different languages, and of course the semantics and the architecture of the language might be the same because it's all Cabernet Franc. Yet the dialects, if you may, the dialects are so different that it just lends itself to so many different food and wine pairings. And what a joy when you're having a meal and you have a bottle and you're not even thinking, is it pairing? Is it the acidity? Is it the tannin? You just know something beautiful is happening as you're having that wine. And I think I've had more moments of that with Cabernet Franc than many other wines. Many Italian wines will do that to you, but very few French wines will do that. And I think Cabernet Franc does that beautifully.
Audrey has a quote with Italian wines, and I've heard it with others, like Pinot, but I think it applies to Cab Franc too. And what she says is, it doesn't come to you, you have to come to it.
Oh, I love that.
And some of these, whether it's Pinot for its reasons or Italian wines for their reasons. But Cab Franc is one of these where when you make that effort and you go and try and really wrap your heart and like your taste buds around this wine and the why, it hits. Like there's no doubt it hits. So it's exciting.
And in addition to this, there's a little bit even more meaning personally for me, because Cab Franc Masters has created this very strong community. I mean, the people who are supporting this event are, masters like Sir Damian himself, who, he's synonymous with Cabernet Franc in Paso. Wineries like Midpoint, which are new to the whole game and yet are putting their heart and soul into this event. Then there is Robert Hall leading the word on sustainability. Justin, who's going to host our media dinner.
Wonderful.
Every spectrum you can think of. And then of course Austin Hope, they have brought Cabernet Franc into the market like nobody else has in Paso. It's brilliant what they do. They have supported this event from day one. This tiny effort honestly has blossomed because of them. Then you have winemakers from Adelaide, from J-Lore, who have been a part of it. And now this year, Travel Paso is sponsoring the event, and PRWCA, the Paso Wine Alliance, is supporting it too.
Wow.
And so to have this community build surely but steadily behind this very humble chameleon of a varietal that is just, it'll knock your socks off on the dining table. That's what's very exciting. It's what it is creating in Paso. It's very exciting for me.
You are a force, Neeta. Lovely inside and out. You know I love you. Damian, you're all right. I appreciate you a lot. Damian, always love having you on. It's so great. Your wines are absolutely fantastic. Always great to have you, Neeta. Thank you guys for taking time. And cabfrancmasters.com. Damian, how do people find Brecon? And do you need an appointment to taste?
No, but yeah, it helps.
It does.
But breconestate.com. We're out on Vineyard Drive in Paso Robles. We're open 11 till 4:30. Appointments are preferred because it can get busy at times. But we don't always pull a Cab Franc. Most of the time we have at least one Cab Franc, but there's other wines. And we'd love to speak to you. We've got a great tasting room team.
Your wines are phenomenal. I always love when I get a chance to interview you. How do people taste at LXV downtown Paso?
Google LXV and let the Google do the rest. We have a Cab Franc tasting menu for this month, specifically for Cab Franc Masters. But more than LXV, I'm here to promote everybody who's a part of this. So I would say, please go on cabfrancmasters.com. Look at the wineries that are participating. You'll be surprised to see, oh, these guys make Cab Franc too. And if they're on the website, they're going to be at the event. And we are going to soon have a Cab Franc trail, a map that you can digitally download or print. That I'm just putting the last minute edits to it, and so you can literally have a visual representation and plan a trip to Paso.
Look at you. I would say, Rhone Rangers, Cab Collective, watch out. Cab Franc is coming for you.
Hey, I'm a part of Paso Robles Cab Collective.
Of course.
I'm telling you, us at Cab Collective we are doing our bit.
I just think it's so cool to show that Paso does so many things well, and there's room for everyone because there's just so much excellence here. And it's the greatest and most exciting wine region on earth. And this is exactly, you two, and this event is exactly why. So, love you guys.
Thank you so much, Adam. Thank you, Master.
Oh, behave.
It's The Pour with Adam Montiel. We taste it, we spill it, we leave it all on the table. You can hear The Pour in its entirety on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music, and wherever you get your podcasts. For more, visit adammontiel.com.